Good news. You hear this term. What is good news? Biblically, good news, good news. And it's like, but you're talking about a past event though, right? It's like, oh, Christ is king. He's born. He is risen. Okay, dude, but that was how long ago? But there's an end to that book. And at the end of that book, the 1,000-year reign of Christ comes when he basically inhabits and overtakes and reclaims and repurposes everything that the Antichrist built. It's kind of one of those things that it's like, that almost sounds like utopia, and I'm not down with utopia because utopia involves forcing people to think a certain way. Today I've received a double dose of the Spirit. I was doing my thing, of course, along the course of the day, and in some slow spots, found myself surfing around, a little bit of positive, my brain is so tired after today. Positive affirmation stuff. Affirmation is the word I couldn't find. And one of the contemplations I have frequently internally is kind of an inner monologue to do with reasoning out what constitutes rich and poor. And in mine, money doesn't necessarily constitute richness. And a lack of money certainly does not constitute poverty. So I watched a video with an interesting positive affirmation. Typically the person that posts them in a timely way that if it's for me, it's for me. And I don't know if this was for me in a financial way. It was definitely just, someone I haven't seen post in a while post a thing that says, get ready for big money. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I already know because I've already been over this myself, but it was a nice repetition or reinforcement of some sort, a reaffirmation of something I kind of already have a grasp of, in that these adjective descriptors are subjective. And it's already been a thing that I've experienced where it's like, if I have a sense of the big money's coming, it could just be one big tip. It could be a windfall. It could be a good time for an extended period where I just rake it in. There's all these different ways. But there's other times when the riches do not come in financial form. And I've spoken on blessings at great length in the past. And it's still a thing to this day. I just don't talk about it. And I've been blessed recently. I've been blessing recently in numerous different ways. There's the redistribution of that which has been sent my way. And there's also just need to be at a certain time, certain place, certain, it just is the circumstance. It's how it goes. And most of it I don't, on that end, have any knowledge of. I just am aware of when it is or is not one. These do not necessarily synchronize with like tips. There's more than that. today, after these interesting affirmations and a kind of a twingle that was like, there's something there. Pleasant afternoon, doing my thing. I have my own daily affirmations, which I will not repeat. I have things that I say that work. And it's just, it's a way of getting myself in the right frame of mind and way of being. So today, after all of that, in the midst of everything, during a lull, somebody came into the store, addressed me directly first off, asked me a question, and went straight to the counter, got straight to the point. I think I took a run, came back, still talking, had asked to talk to the manager. Manager comes out and was trying to kind of wheedle at getting at some kind of leftover freebie food that was in the back. And the thing is, the only leftover freebie food that was in the back was my dinner, which I'm going to eat shortly, which was leftovers from buffet and some stuff got thrown out. He just missed it. About an hour. And they let him know the buffet hours, but the one thing I caught was, where he'd spent the previous night and what his current, at the moment, circumstance was. And I took another run and I came back and I said, hey, I couldn't help but overhear things, so if you like some food, I got you. And he made a kind of a fuss about, I said, no, man, just, it's on me. Order what you want. Eat. And so then I took another run and came back and his food was ready. And I ended up sitting down, good half hour, 45 minutes, chatting this guy up. As my dad called it, the gift of gab. There is a purpose behind some of this. I often think of it as a curse. And from a purely self-centered point of view, it can be. It is taxing. But I believe I did my dad proud. And I will share no details whatsoever of my conversation, of any of the interaction. I will say that one of the last things I said was go with God. And I have loaned someone a hoodie that promises to give it back when next time we see. My first thought was Ozymandias. I had just met a mad king. And indeed. But then the double dose kicked in. And I realized that there was a little more to it. And I, as far as I can tell, in retrospect, conducted myself perfectly. So if you know, so you have to be wary. Not in a fearful or aggressive or defensive sense. Just you got to be wary at any time. Any person that you don't expect could end up being, God in disguise kind of thing. And I'm not saying that's who this was, because I don't think that's who this was. But a level of absolute freedom that I don't think I could hack. I could not handle it. This was someone who, when people say that there are more houses than homeless people, some of the people that are homeless do not want a house. There was so much going on in this guy's head, and I was more than happy to lift some weight for a while. And the glow in the restaurant afterward was much the same. Just the customers and everybody, and I don't know. Yesterday was like that too, in a way. Not really like, being tested, but like, this is what you're capable of, this is what you're going to handle. And spiritually heavy lifting. Well, like I said, I hope I did my dad proud. I know the things that I know, and I know places where I've learned new things and unlearned things that I was taught. And, not to say, oh, my dad was wrong about it. I do things my own way, and they're a little bit different sometimes. Just, it's a matter of where my angle of compassion comes from, but boundless though it seems to be. So today was the thing. It was something. Don't really know what else to say other than I am incapable of praise and worship to a higher power in any meaningful way, verbally. My language of communication for that, like as I would say, a love language, is in a sense to say, my gratitude is expressed by being able to use that which I am blessed with to take care of God's children, because they're everywhere. And then I took some more runs, and I'll be honest, I did not expect to make as much money as I did. It all just added up. There was no chicanery, fuckery, hootenanny, shenanigans, none of it. Hopefully the other guy did as well as I did, but I also worked a double shift today. So after an all day, I refuse to label the experience I had today. I'm not in a position. I don't have a full enough grasp. There is so much information I absorbed today. This guy had a lot on his mind. And yeah, I don't have words. I am bushwhacked mentally. I think I'm going to sleep really hard tonight and probably have some very fascinating dreams. And, this dude, I don't know if I will ever see him again, or if he'll pop up in a year or two or a month or two. So the saga continues, I guess. But what I gained from some of this discussion today was just a sense of what is present underlying the mechanisms beneath the surface of the world as we think of it. And all of this deceitful, screwed up badness in the world has an annihilative equal opposite, an antipart in good. And the annihilation coming from an equally good doesn't mean taking two things and putting them. What it means is taking the framework of evil and subsuming it with good until the evil is just annihilated. This is not to say that they are directly resembling functions. It's that functionally they are descriptively the same. This would be like Christ and Antichrist, is what I'm getting at. And also being that Antichrist would also refer to, for example, a large global hegemony of oligarchic billionaire elites fabricating the apocalypse to force God to send Jesus. When that would happen, everything that they had built would be taken back. That's my interpretation, at least. So that's the good news, as far as I can tell.